Hey guys, welcome back to the letter. So, last time we figured out that Zach's pictures weren't all that okay. And so we're going to tell Ash about it all, even though he's not going to believe us one bit. But sometimes I wish Ash would make himself easier to find. 24 messages, 13 phone calls, and 1 visit to his flat later, I still have no idea which rock in Luxburn he went off to hide under again. The guy has his own place, refuses to stay in it. Has his own phone, but doesn't answer any of his calls or give any indication he's gotten my messages. Most of the time, he'll just show up on my front door. Sometimes in the middle of the night, complaining about how uncomfortable it is to sleep in the back of his Shirley, his car. As if the old couch in my flat is any better. Nothing new from him, though, but a bit frustrating, really. There's the police precinct, of course. Then again, he's not there most of the time, either, and if that's also true for today, he's likely on another stakeout. There's nothing much for me to do but wait if that's the case.
Let's just hope I'm lucky enough today.
He probably won't be. While Luxburn is a relatively peaceful city boasting a low crime rate, its precinct stays abuzz with activity. As soon as I open the glass front doors, murmurs come from people waiting in the lobby welcome me. Officers can occasionally be seen shuffling in and out of the rooms, greeting civilians with a casual smile and a polite nod. Some, though, look a little worse for wear. Like the receptionist, who looked at me with this much disdain the moment I arrived. Thankfully, I won't have to deal with him today. Before I can even step in, Ashton's voice, though low, comes from the hallway adjacent to the lobby.
Not even for just 1 minute?
No. The case was dismissed, remember?
You were the one handling that case.
If you want access to those records, you've got to ask Chief. I was taken off it before shit went to hell.
Who's this?
Why do you even bother? Even Professor Clark seems to have given up on that.
Well, Never mind, you won't understand.
Right. I know you owe Professor Clark a lot, but the right guy isn't just someone you mess with.
Oh, he's looking into the wrights.
They've got the money. Who knows what else gets swept under the rug with them involved.
That takes a special kind of ignorant not to know.
And a smart person to know which boundaries he can't cross. You're a bright guy, you'll figure it out. In any case, I've got to get going. Another missing person case on my hand. Benjamin on the front desk looks like he's about to maul someone after the 4th one yesterday. Murders, people missing, what a time to be alive. Man, I miss the old Luxburn.
You and me both. I'll see ya. Gonna go grab some lunch.
He notices me first as soon as he enters the lobby and pauses. Confusion briefly crosses his face until I fish out my phone from my pocket and wave it up. Frowning, he pulls out his own mobile out, wordlessly fiddling with it for a few seconds before sighing heavily. There ain't any annoyance in him when he glances up, though. Only mild exasperation and what might be a hint of amusement.
Stop taking pointers from Isabella. This is gonna get old soon.
Oh, you know you love it.
At least use your phone properly.
It's an alarm clock, a good note-taking device, a halfway decent camera, and maybe a music player too. If I'm being nice. What else do I need it for?
To connect to the friends that you've made in your life.
I don't know, keeping in contact maybe?
When he merely shrugs, I know I've struck a chord. He's far from holding a piece of technology in contempt, of course. Ash has always been nothing but practical from the start, and technology is useful. Only, when he gets too focused on one thing like a case he's handling, he tends to forget there are other things around him. A little reminder and a nudge in the right direction can get him a long way.
I've got an email on that social media site the girls roped us into joining.
That doesn't make any sense. Also, you've got an account before any of us had one.
For policing purposes? Anyway, why are you here? I thought you have something scheduled today. Or was that yesterday?
That was yesterday. Look, about that, there's something I want you to see.
He stops me with a tap on my shoulder, walks past me straight to the door, and gestures with his head towards the very irked receptionist when I raise an eyebrow in question.
Over lunch. I haven't eaten anything since last night, and Benjamin there doesn't really like loiterers around here.
Wordlessly, I follow after him, but not after sending the poor guy behind the table an apologetic smile. Poor Benjamin. Ah, it's Mr. Mann, my favorite character. As expected, he takes a seat in the furthest corner of the cafe. A good way from the window, but easily allows a view for who comes and goes. secluded enough not to be disturbed by the lunch hour rush or be overheard by a curious bystander. If I didn't know this was lunch he invited me to, I would automatically assume I got dragged into another stakeout. After years of knowing him, though, this simply has become one of the many habits he has I've gotten used to. Food arrives minutes later. A slice of vegetarian quiche for me. Meanwhile, Ashton is opted for a cup of coffee, plus a gracious serving of...
You having cake for lunch?
Yes. Hold up 1 second. What did that coffee cup look like? What was in the foam? I saw a face. You thought you could sneak it past me. Well played, game. Well played. He shrugs and then proceeds to dig in without even a hint of remorse. Frankly, it's like seeing a child get his Christmas present early.
Don't tell Becca. I'll get an earful. It's just for today.
You should listen to her, though. The kind of work you do, you'll need to eat something other than sweets.
He does.
I don't want to see you drop dead in front of my apartment again.
Again?
I told you, just this once. Have you been hanging out with Becca lately? You're beginning to sound like her.
Nah, just for some recipes. But she has the right to worry, you know? It's like she's taking care of 2 kids. One bitches on sweets, while the other on cup noodles.
You know, yeah. You know, no one in here really has the right diet except for those two, Zachary and Becca.
At least Bella knows how to cook.
Hey, I can at least boil something. Wait, that's easy, right? I mean, you just put water in and...
No, don't even think about it. You destroyed your own kitchen once by sticking a pressure cooker on it. I think my sister is a whole lot better than you. And this is coming from someone who has no other choice but to eat her cooking for some time.
To be fair, he generally appears offended at the last remark. Hate will be too strong of a word to describe how Sis and him usually interact whenever they're in the same room. Though whatever appropriate word it is, I can say with most certainty that the feeling's mutual for both. Ash thinks she nags too much, while Sis thinks he's a trouble magnet I should stay away from. They're both technically right on their assessments.
How's your sister, by the way? Still bullying white guys?
What should I say? You're the one who started it, or she's married to one now? Why would I say that? I don't know if she is. Is she? I guess?
You do know she's married to one now.
Okay, that works, but how was I supposed to know that?
I hope she doesn't end up poisoning him with her cooking.
Pot calling the kettle black?
She can't be better than me.
Actually, she is now. They're planning to start a restaurant sometime in the future.
Oh, really?
I was bedridden for days after eating some of the stuff she whipped up. And now you're letting her cook for other people?
Letting her? No. Being forced to let her? Yes.
Don't exaggerate. It was just for one day and you're the one who refused to leave your apartment. You should come by though. Sis gave birth a few days ago. Girl, I've only seen the pictures. But I might visit sometime after everything's settled down. Too many backlogs to go through for now.
No way in hell. She'll just find something to criticize again. Last time, it was Shirley.
What is your car, anyway? He makes a show of being utterly mortified, though I'm quite sure he doesn't mean any of that. He might not say it out straight, but I'm pretty sure he's enjoying the small visits whenever he can. Something about it reminds him of his own family, sort of like making up for the one he never got back after his parents separated. Sore spot on that one topic. One thing he never brings up in any conversation if he can help it, and I've never seen the need to be nosy. There are some wounds you're just not meant to open, and for the both of us, the sentiment goes both ways.
As if you ain't already on a shit list. You're just afraid of her.
In your dreams. But I'll think about it. Can't just drop this thing at the moment.
His change in tone is subtle, but his aggravation of the matter hangs completely palpable in the air.
Still no closer?
The opposite, actually. There's been some slip-ups here and there. Careless mistakes, and let's just say I'm waiting for him to make another one.
Oh?
What about you? How are things on your end?
Wait a second. You were at the party. That's in a few days. That's in, like, I think that's tomorrow or tonight. You were there. You were there to watch him. Oh my god. And that whole scandal. The whole scandal with, the wife. You're watching him, aren't you?
all piled up on top of the other. But I can manage. Still recovering from the expenses for the movie, so the surge in new projects helps. Well, there's this one thing.
The expression on his face grows more puzzled with each photo I spread on the table. There's about 8 of them, all the reprints of the same thing. Mrs. Wright's distorted head on the photos. He takes a minute to go through each, eyeing the prints warily. The furrow on his brow doesn't ease even as he gathers all of it into one pile and sets them back in one neat stack in front of me with a heavy sigh.
Hannah Wright?
Indeed.
Yeah. How did you...
The locket. She never takes it off. Evan's family heirloom.
Yes. I won't even think about asking why or how he knows that. If he's investigating them, he'll likely have already dug up every unimaginable dirt on them, including family history.
Are you done with your work with them?
Yeah?
Yesterday, yeah. It's just a small feature for a magazine. Interviews, photos, standard stuff, nothing big. But see, here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this out there without sounding crazy, but there really is something odd with that place. Remember the letter?
Yes, I do. He drags in a breath, reaches up his nose and pinches it. Like the action alone will help grant him all the patience in the world to continue this conversation. That's supposed to say world. There is a typo, my friend.
Please tell me this isn't about that again.
It is.
No, Ash, you've got to listen this time.
I am listening, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth. These are some blurred out photos, and that letter is just a stupid prank. I expected this from Isabella, not you.
You dare.
You're the photographer here. I don't see any need to get worked up over this.
I know what you mean, but will you hear me out first?
Ash leans back on his seat but doesn't say anything further. He gestures for me to continue with a wave of his hand, impatience clearly on his face. Any other person telling him this and he'll walk out without batting an eye. I suppose the only reason he's giving me the benefit of the doubt is because we know each other.
Ash, I don't easily buy into these things as much as you do. Yesterday, though, behind Hannah.
He blinks at that, his eyebrows lifting momentarily before settling into a deep frown.
Hannah? Since when were you on a first-name basis with the Wright missus?
Oh, you know.
Why does that even matter?
I thought you said this was just a gig.
It what? Oh my god. His voice stays level, but the accusation in it is clear as day. It hits a nerve in me somehow, more than the tone he usually does. I do get where he's coming from, but... Okay, listen. It's just a gig. Patience can be a tough thing to summon at times. But we didn't get this far as friends if we let our own tempers be the lord of us.
Bro, it's really just another freelance work.
He eyes me skeptically, the same stare he reserves for people he interrogates. I've been on the receiving end of it before, early on in a friendship. Years later, he's already got the unimpressed police look down pat.
And there's nothing going on with me and Miss Hannah. She was just being friendly. Insisted I call her by her first name. That's all.
I wasn't implying any of that. You're not that sort of guy.
Oh, thank you.
I know, but let's just get that out of the way. The just-in-case elephant in the room scenario, aight? She's a married woman, Jesus!
Not with the image she presents in public.
What?
No, but trust me, she ain't any of the things the tabloid writes about her.
Like I read any of those.
Good.
I know you don't, but keep it in mind, will you?
Will do. Though I can't promise she'll get off scot-free if she's involved.
Involved in what?
Man, without your acting, it feels like I'm doing a solid for your girlfriend.
Cut that out, will you? And I'm not asking you to. Besides, what's currently going on here is more important.
Yes, can we please get back to the main point?
Alright, lay it in.
Thank you. Recounting everything takes the better half of our lunch, but he manages to listen throughout the entire thing without a snide comment. A feat in itself, actually. At the end of it, Ash merely nods, takes out his phone, and excuses himself. Off to a far corner of the cafe for some privacy, if you can even afford to have such in a public place as public as this. He returns in a little while and hands me a small card. Of course.
I can't stop you if you're willing to believe in this crap. Give this guy a call. You're better off talking to him than me. He's at the public library now if you want to catch him there. He used to be my professor back in the university.
Oh, no, I don't think that's...
Go on, I already gave him a heads up.
Cool.
You know I can't help you out, man.
He gives my arm a tap and walks off, mumbling about checking checking back at how things are at the precinct. I don't see his face when he leaves, but I know this is his own little way of helping out despite what he doesn't voice out. He didn't really believe me. But, oh well. Of all the places, it never crossed my mind I'd end up wandering into the public library today, considering I rarely ever visited. Somehow, there's always been this kind of disconnect between me and books in general. Sure, some of them held my attention in my youth during the brief times of the day I was left to my own with nothing to do. I went through the whole of Grant's collection, as a matter of fact. Read them all twice or thrice, even. But they never did hold for long. Most of it never even sticked. Especially after I learned it's simply easier to do things myself if I want to learn stuff. This ain't in the plan in the first place. But after Ashton went through the trouble to contact the professor, I can't just ignore it. Nothing but quiet greets me inside, though. Not the typical mum one would associate with the library, but one akin to a hush prior to an impending trouble. Or perhaps I'm just overthinking again. I really like to think I'm just thinking about this too much, that this is just the lack of sleep talking. Regardless, apart from the group of students murmuring in a corner somewhere, the place is free from its usual visitors. All while my footsteps echo in a manner unsettling enough to raise the hairs at the back of my neck. Much to my relief, it does not take me long to find him, being the only occupant in the side of the room. Professor Andrew Clark. I've never personally met the man, but Ash has spoken highly of him several times. In fact, he's Ash's go-to guy when something's troubling him with the case. My steps are unsure as I approach. At any rate, he greets me with a warm smile like a grandson he hasn't seen in a long time.
Ashton's friend, I take it. Zachary.
Indeed.
You'll have to forgive this old man if I don't get your name right.
Oh no, you got it. It's Zach. Zachary Steele, Professor Clark.
He gestures at the empty seat across the table while he returns to his books. The next couple of minutes pass in relative silence as he continues to read and take notes from the pile he's accumulated on the table. Maybe I should have taken a book first before heading here? But before I can even get far into that idea, the professor clicks the book shut and sets it atop the stack next to him.
Ashton told me you were hoping to get answers from me.
Indeed.
Although I'm not quite sure what I could share, I'll do my best to help.
Thank you. Of course, there are a lot of things I want to ask. How do we get out of this mess if it's among the first of hundreds of my concerns in my head? But in the presence of someone I barely know, the thoughts won't easily form. He's nothing but patient, however, and with enough time to mull it over, a question finally forms.
Do you believe in the paranormal, Professor?
It's supernatural, actually. Don't worry. It's a common mistake to make, but they really are two different things. The other one deals with what we can't explain at the moment, while the other are things we may not have an explanation to. Here.
He places a couple papers in front of me, the very same one he was writing on earlier. A study of Luxburn's supernatural culture, in a nutshell.
A friend of mine wrote that a few years ago. He took interest in the city after reading about the stories. I have to agree with him here. Even stories dealing with things you don't see with the naked eye can be rife with culture, and this city thrives on it. Just ask the locals.
Like ghosts, for example.
Indeed.
Among other things. The interpretation has changed over the years, though. Various religions, for example, have their own version. It might not always be a spirit now. It could be a memory, or an imprint, an echo, so to speak. Some are born from curses even, out of great anger, hatred, or pain. There was this one story. Ah, here it is.
Another book is pulled from the stack and placed atop the papers, while he speaks with such passion that it makes me wonder if some part of him believes this to be true. It is interesting, though, even if I'm personally not a fan of such stories. And soon, hours pass without my notice.
In the end, it asks for something to be sacrificed in order to destroy whatever anchors the wraith.
Calling it now. If I can save everyone, I have to destroy Hannah's necklace. I'm calling it now.
A sad tale, that one, but the simplest grudge can bring the ugliest, even in the kindest person, with some people none the wiser. Oh, I'm sorry, I just went on.
Nah, it's good. Are you familiar with the Ermengarde Mansion, though?
Of course, that goes without saying. Who hasn't heard of the local legend? In fact, you aren't the first one to ask me about that recently.
Yep.
Although, word of the mouth is someone has already bought it.
Ah, yeah. The Wright couple. It was a close friend who handled that sale.
So I heard. Well, don't think the house being bought by anyone would stop us from talking about it. What is it about the mansion, then?
Well, you know, there's this creepy little thing going around destroying my photos.
I just want to ask what you think of it, sir.
We're going to need more than an afternoon for that, young man. You see, it's the kind that has changed over the years, passed down from one person to the next. Sometimes, it's the Lord William who haunts the place. There are versions where it's the lady of the house.
And guess which one's true?
But my favorite, a personal favorite, would have to be the ones that followed after the disappearance of the kind daughter.
Daughter?
Well, what about these then?
There's a moment of hesitation on my part before I pull out Mrs. Wright's photos and lay them all in front of him. Unlike Ash, though, the professor inspects each print with great interest. That gives me some hope, at least.
When were these taken?
Yesterday.
Just the other day. Do you think those are the same?
Perhaps. Perhaps not. There were certainly instances when the film would pick up what the human eyes weren't able to see. But then, it could also have been human error.
I didn't edit it in any way. You have my word on that, Professor. They all just came out like that.
Then, if it is what you're thinking, I'd strongly advise against doing something reckless and further tangling with them. Accounts about them may be riveting to you, but most of it often ends in an unpleasant manner.
What about those people in the house? If there is something in there, shouldn't they know?
Well, yes, they should, but they wouldn't believe me.
I'm sure they're already familiar with the legends, but...
Some people might deserve it, however.
Andrew!
Deserve what, sir?
All of a sudden, the tenderness in the professor's eyes disappears, his face becoming unreadable. As though catching himself, he hastily clears his throat, gathers his book, and rises from his seat.
Professor?
I'm sorry. I just remembered something I neglected to do. You'll have to excuse me, Zachary.
All right. Do you need any help with that?
Don't let my looks fool you, son. I can still carry a few hundreds. I've been doing this for years. I'll see you some other time if you have any other questions.
Of course. It was nice knowing you, Professor.
Why would you say that? He doesn't hear it, however. In a few short strides, he's out of the library, leaving me and every piece of this whole mess amidst the oppressive stillness. Despite the answers gleaned, more questions surfaced. If there's even a single way out of this, I hope we find it soon. The moon is well into the night sky by the time I make it back home. Okay, so... apparently the Wrights, or more specifically Luke Wright, isn't as clean as he makes himself out to be. He did something that Luke is pissed, or that not Luke, that Ash is pissed about, that Andrew's pissed about, and Andrew, he believes the stories, and now that he knows that they bought the mansion, they deserve it. What did Luke do besides almost probably get a girl pregnant? I'm not going to say if it's true or not. But anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it for now. So next time, let's hopefully get some answers. Maybe talk to Hannah. Maybe figure out where Isabella is during all of this. And yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. You have a good day. Goodbye.